It's been a while. I've been through a few things, and I'd like to share with you about them, all in the name of divine love. I was just thinking, I wish I had pockets, because one of the things I've learned about myself is I get just a little tippy and I'm not drinking. But, but it helps if I can put my hands in my pockets, spread my legs just a little bit, and ground. Anybody else got that going on? Ah, those four. So today is an amazing day. Did you know how adorable you are? Thank you. No, really, I'm not kidding. Have you felt your adorableness? Because there is a creator loving you into existence. The Course in Miracles says God is but love, and therefore, so am I, together. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. Oh, now brag a little, come on. Again, God is but love, and therefore, so am I. Doesn't that feel good? Yeah. That simple statement from A Course in Miracles has the power to change our lives. All we have to do is live it. All we have to do is become it. I've been a student and a teacher of the Course in Miracles for over 30 years, and I am still learning what that statement is really saying. In the introduction to the text of the Course, this blew my mind the first time and the next 50 times that I read it. It says, "The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence." Now, I just want you to think for a minute and remember when I said, do you know how adorable you are, what happened inside of you? And I know, because I've been there. Some of you went, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, Louise. I'm adorable. I just don't feel like it. Well, we're going to raise that bar a little bit. Would that be okay? Just kind of raise the bar of our feelings today. So that's what we're going to explore, the awareness of love's presence, because, dear ones, we change. We're healed at depth in love's presence. Nothing else can do it. And this isn't something that I've read in a book. This is truth I have witnessed over and over again in my own life and the lives of countless others. The quantum power of divine love. And to me, all love is divine. I don't have to put that word in front of love. All love is divine. When I was 11 years old, I sat in my bedroom one day, and I can still see where I was sitting. And with all the sincerity of my young heart, I dedicated my life to God. I don't remember the words I used, but I remember the feeling. I knew I meant it because I could feel it. At the age of 14, after graduating from 8th grade, I entered the convent. I entered an order of Catholic nuns with the intention to devote my whole life to the church and to God's people. And then a few years later, at the age of 17, I was received into what is called the novitiate of that order. That was 62 years ago. Not that I'm counting. So somewhere around that time, a very strange thing happened to me. I lapsed into deep, deep doubt about my choices in life, but most importantly, about my faith in God. I wasn't sure there was a God. And there I was, supposedly vowing my life to this God. How many have been there? Yeah. I needed a sign. And you know, when you're 17, you think you can just ask and get it. Well, I did. I needed a sign that God was real. And what I did is I would roam the halls of the convent when everybody else was sleeping. I'd go walking as if I was looking for God, okay? And I would ask with all my being, where are you? If you're real, show me. I need to know you're real. I can't keep going like this without it. So one night in that wandering, I happened to go into a little room. It was a sewing room, and it was on the third floor, and it overlooked the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's late at night, but I could see the city lights, and I was standing there in the dark, just looking. I had closed the door behind me, and all of a sudden, you know, I just gave up. I just gave up. I remember feeling totally spent, totally exhausted, and just surrendering to whatever and whoever. I was finished asking. All of a sudden, I felt that door open. And I felt something or someone come up behind me and hold me. Whew. I'll be good. You can sit down. Thank you, sweetie. So what happened was, all of a sudden, I felt this incredible peacefulness. Peace I hadn't felt in all my life. And it just moved through me. And I really didn't care what happened after that, because I knew that that was divine love, and it was real. How did I know? Because I felt it. Our feelings, our emotions, dear ones, are a gift from God. We shouldn't run away from them. We should turn around and embrace them and work with them. So then, I had to take the next step in becoming a nun and put on the habit, because in those days they all wore these ugly as sin habits. All made out of wool. 3 layers. 3 layers. Okay. And every one of us in my class, I think there were either 16 or 18 of us, and we were standing in the vestibule before going into chapel, and we were all in beautiful white dresses. In order to receive the habit, we had to choose a new name. I chose Marita, so I would be Sister Mary Marita. Along with that name, and by the way, we were then supposed to give up our given name, so Louise was gone, supposedly, to the ethers. And at the same time we picked a new name, we had to choose what was called a predicate. And that was a word or a phrase that would be a constant reminder to each of us what we had dedicated our life to. Imagine that you say your name and you say, Bob Smith of, and there's your predicate, and you know what your life is dedicated to. So I chose the predicate divine love, and on that day I became Sister Marita of Divine Love. When I was 20, I left the convent. All of a sudden, my realization of God was outside the walls of a religion. It was all creation. So I left the convent and became a lay person again, and I was no longer Sister Marita, but somehow divine love was sticking in my subconscious, right? At the age of 22, I was directing a choir in another Catholic church, but we were a little advanced. And I knew nothing about directing choirs. I never took a class. I couldn't read music. But what I knew was the feeling behind the music, and I directed it according to the feeling. And very quickly, we had 100 people in this choir. Most of them couldn't read music either, but oh my God, they sang with all their feeling. Well, it just so happened that I lived downtown Milwaukee, and this was on the south suburb. And that one particular night, by the way, I didn't have a car, so somebody from choir always had to pick me up downtown, take me to choir practice, and then take me back. That was love. They called me Sergeant Louie. Don't know why. So that night, one night, okay, this man comes in. I've never seen him before, but we don't have any trial. You come in, you stand there with the book, and if you want to sing in that choir, you just do it. So the man who picked me up said, I can't take Sergeant Louie home. Who will do it? And this man, standing in the back, there for the first time, with, by the way, gorgeous bedroom blue eyes. I didn't miss that. He said, I am. The room was so quiet. Everybody turned around and they didn't know if they should be afraid or if they should just be happy, okay? So that's how we met. He took me home that night. We met in April, engaged in May, and married in June. It took so long. He was a widower with 3 beautiful children who I think were about 8, 10, and 12 maybe at that time. And I instantly became a wife and mother, and I didn't have a clue how to be any of that. But one thing I know about being young is that when you don't know what you don't know, you just do. And how many of you know that? Yeah, look at you. You just did. And I had a lot of doubt through those early years, a lot of doubt. Am I doing this right? Should I be doing something else? But here's yesterday, just yesterday, somehow, I'm on YouTube, and this song by Carrie Newcomer comes up called The Point of Arrival. And in that song, she sings, there's a faith that's only found in doubt. I will never be afraid of doubt again. So here's where the story gets even more interesting. I could quote so many beautiful words that have been written about love across the centuries. But it is the experience of love's presence that has been my teacher, not the words. Words have to match my experience to have meaning for me. So what does divine love look like? You know, what does it sound like? How does it feel? Where and how do you find it? My husband and I were married for a total of 47 years. We were married for about 12 years and then divorced for 8. At the end of those 8 years, something amazing happened for me, and that was that the minister that I was working with at that point, a unity minister, sent me for ordination. He sent me to Mesa, Arizona, to what was then the Living Bible Center. And when I told Ron about it, he said, "Why don't we make that a vacation? We've never had one, just the two of us. I'll drive you to Mesa, Arizona." And he held the Bible. That was 34 years ago, this last week. We went to the Grand Canyon afterwards, and we stopped at the lodge, which just burnt to the ground, by the way. And on a Sunday, without a reservation, we got the most perfect cabin. The whole thing was so blessed. The next day, we're driving home. We're somewhere in the middle of Kansas at a Pizza Hut. Real healthy lunch. And he said the most profound words that he'd ever said to me up to that point. He said, "Why don't we get married again? You take care of God's people and I'll take care of you." And he did. For the next 34 years, to the best of his ability. Love has a way of showing us how to begin again when we get sidetracked into stories. You know, really, I've said this here so many times, there's only love for us here. Everything else is a story that we got, sidetracked into. The stories of, oh, they don't like me anymore and I don't fit in and where's my tribe and how come I don't have more money and blah, 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 and on and on. And we forget how adorable we are. That there is a creator adoring us into existence. Love holds no memories of yesterday against us. Anybody guilty of that? Oh, yeah. I am. Love is new every instant of every day of our lives. It's brand new. In the 56 years that we were in each other's lives, Ron and I faced many disagreements. We on many levels, we were not a match. We were not alike. But before we married the second time, I was moving my things into his house, and he looked at me one minute, and I must have had that deer in the headlights kind of look, And he said to me, "Are you afraid?" And I admitted that I was. And he said the second most profound thing he had ever said to me. He said, "Louise, I guess we'll just have to trust the good." Those words, "trust the good," are on the urn of his ashes. And each time, dear ones, that we fell out of rhythm, the rhythm of agreement and patience, any couples here ever have that happen? Every time We had an opportunity to learn and grow, to choose peace, begin again, and get back in that flow of love. I've told you this story here before, so if you've heard it, just hum to yourself. But one day I got so angry at him, and I don't even know why. I didn't even know why when I was angry. And I stormed out of the house. I got in my car, and I drove to the nearest park where I could just park and just sit there and fume. And all of a sudden, the words of the Course in Miracles started creeping into my mind, and I shut them out. I was too angry. And then they would just keep creeping back in, and the words were, "You are doing this to yourself. You're doing this to yourself." Well, I ended up going back home, saying, "I'm sorry, don't know what that was all about." Because it's real important for us to get back in the flow of love. Nothing on this earth will stabilize us like our choice to be in a feeling of love. And a lot of times it's self-love that we need to be asking for. It's real easy to think that love is outside. It's in that body, that cute guy, that lovely woman, whatever. It's even easy to say, "Oh, love must be at that next church." No, it isn't. It was always in us. It's nowhere else. We were made by love, in love, for love. God is only love, therefore so are we. And all we have to do, dear ones, is choose it. This is what I noticed also in all my years with my husband, and that is that love doesn't abandon us or snatch us out of our troubles. It'd be cool if it did. Love perseveres with us through those troubles. This is amazing. This week I found this quote from Sir Walter Raleigh. I didn't even know who he was. And there is this beautiful quote he said whenever he lived. "Love is a durable fire in the mind ever burning, never sick, never old, never dead, from itself never turning." From itself never turning. Love walks beside us through every instant of every hour of every day of our lives and on into eternity. What supports us, dear ones, when nothing supports us? Yeah, love. What helps us through the inevitable tough times and the darkest hours in life? Love. The hard things are never so hard when we have the love of a lover, a friend, a family member, or a complete stranger wrapped around us. The first time that I could find myself going out after Ron died and being with people, I had to be with people that I trusted. So I came here on a Sunday morning. And somebody I've always known was safe walked up to me. I stood up and I fell into his arms and I cried tears I hadn't cried You see, there's something about love. It's really good to cry whenever you need to. I don't care if you're alone. Go ahead and do it. And it's really good to cry with others. But there's nothing like crying on a safe person. And it was you. Love only gives. That's its quantum power. That's its quantum power. It only gives. In the Course in Miracles, chapter 18, there's a section titled Light in the Dream. And Jesus says this, if you knew who walks beside you on the way you have chosen, fear would be impossible. You do not realize that you are not afraid to love, but only of what you have made of it. What do we make of love? Oh, we make it a bargaining chip. I'll do this if you do that. That's not love. We make it, out of lust. We make it out of all kinds of things. What do we make of love? Love is so pure. It's so innocent. I have a son who is a mountain climber. He only fell off 3 times. Yeah, one time he was rescued by a helicopter, one of the Black Hawk helicopters. My goodness. And he said to me just recently, he said, the mountain is my church. In that silence, in that quiet, in that beauty, he knows God. He feels it. He knows it. I realized this week, I no longer believe in God. I know God. Then Jesus says, I hold your hand as surely as you agreed to take your brother's hand and your sister's hand. You will not separate. For I stand with you and walk with you in your advance to truth. And where we go, we carry God with us. And dear ones, if we carry God with us, we carry divine love everywhere we go. You know that Starbucks place that always has a line too long for you? You took divine love right into that line. That phone call you're really dreading, send divine love before you. It's already there. All through my life with Ron, I had to keep choosing love. We were in some ways so different. I just don't know how we made it. But when you choose love, there's a power. By the way, this is the coolest thing. The Course in Miracles says we are in a state of grace forever. Ron's first wife, who had died, was named Grace. So I had to keep choosing love, like when he couldn't walk well anymore, so he couldn't go places with me. When he forgot how to form words from the letter tiles in a game. When it wasn't safe for him to drive anymore. When he forgot how to turn on the TV or how to get to the kitchen to make a cup of coffee. Or in his last days when he suffered so much from COVID and asked to die. There were times when I wanted to run away, maybe just for a little while, and forget about any responsibilities toward him. I'm not a saint. You've figured it out. I know you have. I'm just a woman learning how this love thing works. That's all I am. I'm not better than anybody here, smarter than anybody here. I'm just trying to figure this love thing out. I couldn't run away because that wasn't the love contract I had with him. And even now, since he died 8 months ago, I'm learning love is there in the emptiness where he once sat, in the silence where I'll never hear his voice again. Love doesn't save me every time I ache with grief. Sometimes it breaks me open and I can't breathe. But love is there. I'm writing this little book about grief called Cry Me Awake. And I wrote this little verse a few months ago. It's called Thawing. It hurts to thaw out under the tears of grief, to thaw and open myself to new life. Yet I must do this. If I cower back into the past, I will give up and begin to die. Grieving is a process of rebirth. I trust it, even though I don't like it. I trust that as I keep walking through this pain, something good will be there ahead to welcome me. Out of death comes life again. So I can choose to lie down and not get up again, dear ones, or I can choose life and love again. Every day, in every way, I'm just a beginner.